Hello everyone, this is Jason from Primetime Aquatics, and in this video we are going to be talking about the top 7 plants that will help you reduce algae in your fish tank and keep your water parameters awesome, and also potentially reduce the amount of water changes you have to do. Hope you enjoy the video and I appreciate you being here. So all the plants that we're going to be talking about in this video have something in common, and that is they usually feed from the water column itself, and they don't grow extensive root systems that grow into the substrate, and therefore they're pulling the nutrients out of the water, which is going to compete with the algae for those nutrients. One of the ones that we use in our fish room that I really enjoy is Hornwort. We have it in a number of our tanks. It's a floating plant. It protects a lot of our fry, especially our live bearer fry like guppies and mollies and platies. And so anytime you're growing and breeding live bearers, this could be a really big help. The nice thing is if you've got too much of it, it's really easy to remove from the top of your tank. Just grab a handful out, toss it in a bucket, you can toss it away, give it away. But Hornwort grows extremely fast and does a very good job competing with algae for the nitrates in your tank. The next one has the same properties as Hornwort, and that is Guppy Grass. We've used Guppy Grass in a lot of our tanks. As the name implies, it's a really good plant that will help you protect live bearer fry once again, and it is a floating plant that will grow all over the tank. It can be a little bit aggressive in its growth, and again, it's really easy to remove. If you don't want it, you can just simply grab a handful of it out and toss it aside, but it's going to do a good job of competing with that algae for the nutrients in your water. The next two have very similar properties, the first one being water Sprite and the next one being water Wisteria. Both of them are awesome plants. They tend to take on a very lush sort of appearance in your fish tank. They don't have extensive root systems, and they don't tend to root very well in the substrate. Because of that, they can pull a lot of nutrients out of your fish tank and compete with algae in a very, very good way. The issue with both of those plants, as well as all the plants that we're talking about, is they tend to grow very, very quickly. And once they pull the nutrients out, they can also die back very quickly. And so these are all plants, if you want to maintain them, after they've got your nitrates under control and your phosphates, you may want to add some liquid fertilizers to keep them going. The other cool thing about water Sprite and water Wisteria, even though it doesn't root very well, as it grows, it tends to grow from the top of the tank towards the bottom, and it can really fill out parts of the fish tank. Now the next two might be a little bit controversial, but it is going to help you control your algae, and that is Duckweed and Frogbit. They're both floating plants, and they actually float on the surface of your tank. They grow extremely fast. A lot of people consider duckweed to be even a pest. I did a video on how to remove it, which I'll put in the upper right hand corner. But in this case, if we're trying to reduce algae, what we're trying to do is grow it. Like I said, it grows very, very quickly and does an excellent job of competing with algae, keeping the nitrates and phosphates low. It is relatively easy to remove. You just take a fish net and you just start scooping it out. You can toss that in a bucket, throw it in the garbage. You can feed it to certain fish. But the nice thing is it really is going to do a great job of competing. Now the Frogbit is even better because it gets a little bit larger. And so unlike the duckweed, which is very, very small and can sometimes be a pain to remove, the Frogbit gets a little bit larger and the root systems grow a little bit more extensively. It tends to block a little bit more light as well. And so anytime you're dealing with these floating plants, they're going to block light in addition to taking out the nutrients, and that's going to help reduce the algae because the algae needs that light in order to grow. Now those are all great options, but what if you have fish in your tank that eat plants? In this particular case, we might want to shift our attention to semi-aquatic plants or plants that can grow root systems in your water. And of course, one of the big ones is Pothos plants. This is not something new. Lots of people use it, and we use it in our fish room as well. In this particular case, you cut out a piece of Pothos, you stick the stem in the water, it will start to grow a root system in the water, and the leaves grow on top of the tank, or maybe you've got them growing outside of a filter system. Lots of people will use Pothos in a sump system with a grow light because it can pull the nutrients out of the water through the sump system. But this is an excellent plant here. It's not necessarily competing with the algae for the light that's available in the tank, but it is going to remove a lot of the nutrients. And so again, in a lot of our tanks where we can't grow the plants that I've already mentioned, Pothos is a really good option for our cichlid tanks, our mbuna tanks, our peacock tanks, and it works out really well. The bottom line is this: if you are having problems with algae, some of these plants can really help reduce the likelihood that algae is going to grow out of control. If you want more information on how to grow plants, check out this beginner's guide in the upper right hand corner. If you want to see other options for some really cool beginner plants, this video in the lower right hand corner will help you there. If you enjoyed this video, share, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.